All right, welcome back to Arc Salt Lake on your Thursday. Time right now is 7:16. There was a tragic incident in the eastern Utah town of Vernal. A child left unattended in a hot car, and that child eventually died. This was an infant. So Sue Auriemma from Kids and Car Safety joining me right now to talk about this issue. We hear about these cases all the time. Sue, I know it's a difficult topic, but thank you for coming on this morning to talk about it.
It is. Thank you for covering this important story.
In my notes here, I have that this is the 16th child this year to die from being left in a hot car. That's nationwide?
That is nationwide, yes.
We hear about these stories. They're obviously tragic. That's still such a high number for this to be happening.
It is a high number, and one is one too many because these are preventable incidents. And we've seen an average of 40 per year, with some years as high as 54 children. That's a child every week on average dying in a way that can be prevented.
So this case, we're still getting some information on it. We don't know all details. It does appear that perhaps this was a change in the father's routine, didn't normally take a child to daycare. Is that typically a scenario that leads to this type of situation?
It is probably the most common scenario. In over half of the cases, it's a child who's left unknowingly. So there's no intent on the part of the parent to leave the child in the car, let alone harm the child. So we were shocked to see charges being brought against this father. But we do see it's a change in routine. Either what the parent doesn't normally drive, or someone's been up all night with a baby who was sick. The stress on the brain of multiple email accounts and cell phones and text messages and thinking about what you've got to do in your upcoming day can lead to a tragedy like this when a parent loses awareness their child is in the car. They haven't forgotten their child. They've lost the awareness, and the brain's kicked into autopilot, and they're on with their day, thinking they dropped off at daycare.
You mentioned you were a little shocked to see charges filed, and as I've looked at these cases in the past, because I've been a journalist for 21 years, it's not the first one that I've been exposed to, there is a division when you look at, comments on stories. And I'm not saying this should be litigated in the court of public opinion, but there are some who will say, oh man, what a horrible situation, this parent is being punished enough, and others saying, well, they need to be held accountable. Where does your organization, I guess, fall in that sort of question?
I mean, hard and fast, we are opposed to charges being brought against someone who has unknowingly left a child in a vehicle. And you're right about the court of public opinion. People are very, very quick to judge. And most often it's because they don't understand the scenario. I find personally in my life, when I talk with people about what I do, they can't believe anyone would ever forget their child in the car. They say, you wouldn't forget your phone in the car, but you're looking for your phone during the day. You're not looking for your child during the day if you believe that you've dropped off at daycare. So the court of public opinion is a tough place to be. For this to go into an actual courtroom, personally, I find it shocking because there was no intent to commit a crime, and there's not even an intent in these scenarios where a child is meant to be left in the vehicle. So how is taking this parent to court and charging them and convicting them of a crime going to help anyone? The only thing we can do to help is to raise awareness like this. And when we talk about prevention tips, I'm going to skip to the end. Oftentimes reporters will ask me, what's the most important thing you can tell a parent? And we say, the worst mistake a parent can make is thinking that this wouldn't happen to them, because it can truly happen to anyone. It's a mechanism of the brain that allows you to lose awareness of your child being in the vehicle.
Let's talk about how hot it does get. Even on a day that perhaps some would say, oh, it's not really that hot outside, inside of a car, it's different. Can you go over those numbers for us?
Absolutely. The greenhouse effect is very real, and it's an absolute myth that if you leave the windows ajar or you're not gone for a very long time, that a child will be safe. And the reality is children's bodies don't have a mature cooling system like an adult would have. And so their bodies heat up 3 to 5 times faster. And so they can have serious brain damage and die in a matter of minutes. It's There's no safe amount of time to leave a child alone in the car, and we should emphasize that as well. We're talking a lot about unknowingly, but it's important parents know never to leave a child alone for any amount of time. The temperature inside a vehicle can raise 20 degrees within a matter of minutes. And we've seen situations even when the temperature was only in the 60s where a child perished in the vehicle because of the greenhouse effect.
Let's talk about some of the features that are in, I suppose, newer cars now that aim to stop this from happening. I don't have children, but I've certainly been in newer rental cars where maybe I got something sitting in the back seat and I've seen a signal up on the dashboard that basically says, check the back seat, and it's pretty hard to miss.
Yeah, it's hard to miss when it's new to you. I've had the same thing with a rental car. And you may have noticed on the GPS app Waze, when you arrive at your destination, it will say, reminder, check the back seat. So we're thrilled to see the auto industry is acknowledging this is an issue. And we know they're acknowledging it because they're adding technology like this reminder system. But that is one step shy of what will solve the issue from a technology point of view. It's based on door sequencing. So it means that if you open the back door at the start of your trip, when you turn the vehicle off, you're going to get a message across the dashboard and probably a chime that says check the back seat. The problem is it could over time become easy to tune it out. And also the system resets if you stop and turn the car off anywhere. So for example, you stop to drop off your rent check at your landlord's house, or you stop and pump gas and you've turned the car off. Then the system resets and you don't get the message at your destination. But there is next level technology already on vehicles. Hyundai is one of them that has rolled this out early. And what it does is it's based on occupant detection. And that's what we're pushing for at the federal level on all vehicles. An occupant detection system actually can signal if there's a baby breathing under a blanket in a car seat. That's how sensitive it is. So it could alert you if there's a pet in a vehicle, an elderly adult, a vulnerable adult, or a baby. So it's protecting a great population. And what it can be programmed to do is to honk the horn, flash the lights, roll the windows down, alert passersby. And it can even be programmed, if your car comes with this, to call 911 or to alert the driver. So this means if a parent does lose awareness, arrives at their destination, turns the car off and walks away, the system sets off. All the bells and whistles, literally. And even if the parent has gotten all the way in the office, passersby would see this and would know that there's a baby in the vehicle.
And that type of technology, that's what you're pushing for at the federal level?
Yes, we were able to get legislation passed at the federal level after many, many years of advocating for it with families who lost children in this tragic way. And 2021, the bill passed. The bill will be, the rule from the DOT will be officially overdue by 2 years come this December. The DOT tells us they are short-staffed and underfunded and haven't been able to do the extent of the study they need to do before they issue the rule.
And I do like what you said when I was referencing some of the other technologies. It's hard to miss if it's new to you, but once you do get accustomed to things, then it's kind of the same problem, essentially.
Exactly. So the occupant detection alert really is the gold standard, and it's already in vehicles, it's affordable, and when it's mass produced and put into all vehicles, it will be a very small cost to the automaker.
What should you do? What's the best thing to do if you happen to see a child left unattended in a hot car?
Yeah, if you see a child left unattended, the first thing to do is to call 911. We don't want people to take the law into their own hands if it's not necessary. But if you do see a child or a dog or an adult who's in distress, clearly in distress, and you feel that you can't wait for 911 to arrive, there are actually some states that have passed Good Samaritan laws, which protects you on a civil level. So that if you break a window, you won't have a crime charged against you. There are window punch tools. I actually have one in my car, and people keep them in their purses. They're small. They're called the Rescue Me. Anyone can break a window with it. You don't need to be strong because it's spring-loaded. I've broken windows on TV to demonstrate how easy it is. So you can break a window, but really we want people to call 911 first.
And I've seen those devices myself. Yeah, they're very convenient, and you can use them for all different types of scenarios if you were in some type of an emergency. So we just have less than a minute left, Sue. So just give us your final takeaway after hearing this story and how we can try to get this message out.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say before we leave that it's very important that parents and caregivers take steps to prevent children from getting into hot cars and being left in hot cars in the absence of this technology, because it will take decades before all vehicles have the technology. So have a call-in system with your daycare center. If your child doesn't arrive on time, make sure that they call you. And if they don't reach you personally, they start calling people on your emergency list until they reach a person, not leaving a text or a message. If a child goes missing, just like you would check all surrounding bodies of water in a neighborhood, check all the vehicles in garages, in driveways, in your neighbors' driveways to make sure a child didn't get in and couldn't get out on their own. So in the short term, make sure that you take steps to prevent this, and hopefully the technology will be coming soon.
Okay, Sue Auriemma, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.